This episode of The Inspiration Show is so incredibly special because today's inspiration is someone that I have looked up to for so many years. I am beyond honored and excited to welcome the incredibly talented Victoria to The Inspiration Show. She is currently starring as Cady Heron in Mean Girls at the Cape Playhouse. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So let's start at the very beginning. When did you discover that you had a passion for singing and for theater?
Absolutely. So I always grew up singing and dancing around the house. There was nobody in my family who really performed for a living, but my mom sang a little bit in high school. And from a really young age, we always watched like old movie musicals, The Wizard of Oz and The Sound of Music and Annie and I was in dance since I was about 2 or 3 years old. But it wasn't until maybe about fourth grade, yes, fourth grade, I did my first musical. My elementary school started a drama club that year, and they were doing Annie Jr. And
Always
of
comes back to
course,
Annie.
it always
Always.
comes back to Annie. I was
Always.
always, I mean, come on, if you're a girl in theater, you've done Annie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, and I was Molly in Annie Jr. when I was
Oh.
9, and I was just bitten by the theater bug. I loved it so much and just kind of took any opportunity I could to perform. And our drama club kind of grew with the group of especially young women that were a part of it in the first place. And I just really it was like from then on, no looking back, just wanted to perform and wanted to do theater. And here we are.
Oh, what a gift. I always say it. I say it every episode of the podcast, and I mean, I kind of sound like a broken record, but I will say it till the day I die. Being bit by the theater bug is the greatest gift a person could ever have. And I
Oh,
think
for
that
sure.
when you have that calling to the stage, like it just feels like home and there's no feeling like it. And especially
Yeah.
when you have that from such a young age and it just kind of stays with you throughout every stage of your life, both literally and figuratively, I just think that is the
Mhm.
greatest experience.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So, what really inspired you to become a performer? Because I know you were also in dance, and who has been an inspiration of yours throughout your career?
Yeah, I think the first thing I really saw that made me think I can do that was I saw Wicked on Broadway
Yeah.
when I was 12, and that was the first time I was like, oh, I want to do that thing. And after that, I was just in middle school researching everyone. I loved Sutton Foster and Idina Menzel, tons of Wicked, like all of the Wicked people. And then like the Les Mis movie came out when I was in sixth grade, so I loved Samantha Barks and Anne Hathaway, and Julie Andrews is my favorite actress
Yeah.
of all time. Always comes back to The Sound of Music.
Are you in
And
your dressing room? Sorry to cut you
I
off.
am. I
Yeah,
am.
I knew it. I
I'm
knew
at the
it.
dressing room station, and I walked in and I just started crying. I was like, "Are you kidding me? What are which is such a full circle thing because I get to I don't know. I walk in and I just see this portrait of Julie Andrews, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is for the younger version of myself who loved Julie Andrews and wanted to do this. This is the first musical. I'm kind of jumping forward, but this is the first musical I've done since I graduated from college 3 years ago. So I am like back in theater and revisiting it, and it just feels so full circle and like I'm back home. And so that's been so amazing. Yeah, love Julie Andrews. Today um I love Christy Altomare. She's also my all-time favorite. I love Anastasia. I want to do it so badly. I love her. I
The
just I
Clennas are, yeah, the Clennas are close family friends, and I will
Oh, no
never forget.
way.
I will never forget seeing Anastasia for the first time. Like that is
Yes.
an experience that everybody must have. Like that show is just,
Oh my goodness. It is so stunning. And also like growing up doing ballet and dance, it just feel like I love all the ballerinas in it. I love the dancing. I love the music because it feels like it's Disney, but it's also historical fiction.
yeah,
Um, Fact and fiction, a little bit
yeah,
of
yeah.
both. but I just like will never forget seeing Christy and Anastasia for the first time and how she treated me at the stage door. I sang for her
Oh,
at the Broadway Flea in high school and just like how kind she is to people. If I see her in concert, she like remembers me and
oh,
and that's a common thing with a lot of
yeah,
people who meet her. And so I just like I think she's brilliant. I think she's so kind. I think that's like the first thing when and then Erica Henningsen, I love. I think she's
yes.
such a smart vocalist, a smart voice actor. I just obviously love her too. I just rambled. I literally could talk about the people I love all day long, but those
No,
are, I don't
it's
know if
so
I just gave
special.
like seven.
No, I
Those are
love
like the
it.
top seven, I guess.
I love it. I mean, you're on the inspiration show. We got to chat about those
We have
experiences.
to. I mean, we got to shout them out.
Yeah, and I also want to talk about your dance journey and how that kind of
Yeah.
shaped you growing up and kind of impacted you and kind of shaped you into the performer that you are today, if you could kind of take us on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved ballet growing up. I was on point, I was in the Nutcracker every year, and for a while I thought that's what I wanted to do, was that I wanted to be a ballerina. And once I had discovered theater, that kind of started to shift, because I also loved to sing and I loved to act, and I realized I could take all of those passions and wrap them up in a bow and do a musical, you know? Um, and yeah, I kind of just put it on the back burner just a little bit to do musicals instead of dance recitals, but I always had that in my toolkit. And once I got to college, I went to Rider University for musical theater, and they have a strong emphasis in Fosse. And so I love Fosse's style of dance. I got to learn um, all about that. The head of our program was in Fosse on Broadway. And so really the two, ballet and Fosse, are like, I love them so much. I don't dance as much as I used to. I've definitely leaned more into, the principal or the singer track, but um, any chance that I get to dance, love to do it. And yeah, it's definitely, I go to see the Nutcracker every year and I sit and I think like, what if? But I don't know. I leaned and I was stronger as a singer, and it'll always be something in my toolkit a little bit, but it's definitely something now I watch a little bit more than I do in my everyday as a performer.
That's my favorite thing about theater too, because like I relate to your journey so much with like growing up
Oh,
dancing and then kind of finding that
yes.
love for theater. And then with musical theater, like you can do all three. And I think it's so funny. Like,
Yes.
I went to arts elementary school and I was a theater
Uh-huh.
major in high school at a
So
performing
cool.
arts school. And for people that like aren't theater majors and like they came to see our senior show, like it was so eye-opening for me because we did Spamalot. And they
Oh,
didn't
yes.
realize how hard theater is. Like we came out the stage door to see our friends and family and just people
Uh-huh.
in the public that came to support, and like our friends that were kind of in the mainstream program, like they're like, we don't realize that you can sing and dance and act at the same time.
Yes.
And like I
You're
think it's
triple
so,
majoring basically. It's
yeah, like
insane.
it's insane. It is the coolest thing when you get to put all three of those loves together and then having that new
Mhm.
perspective from like outsiders being like, wow, we didn't know you could do this and we didn't realize
Yes.
how hard it is. Like, I think it's so cool when you kind of see both those perspectives, but to be the one on stage to kind of blend all those loves together. And like when you're in a
Mhm.
dance heavy show or a sing heavy show or an act heavy
Yes.
show, like it's cool that you kind of can tap into all three of those areas because that's what makes theater so special and so beautiful. And I think it's the best way to tell a story when you bring all three of those
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So I'm so excited to jump into this because you made your professional debut in Mary Poppins at the age of 13 at the
Yeah.
Walnut Street Theater. So how did that early experience kind of shape your perspective on performing and the kind of artist you wanted to become? Because I mean, you were so young and Mary Poppins is such
Yes.
a special magical show, and shout out Julie Andrews.
Shout out to
But
Andrews again. Yeah.
yes. But yeah, so what was that experience like for you at 13?
That experience that actually solidified my decision to pursue musical theater, because that was the first time I was around adults who were doing it for a living. And I just I mean, I was 13. I was in eighth grade. My parents are the most amazing parents in the world. They're not stage parents at all, but they are so supportive. Where growing up, they'd be like, all right, you do the work. If you want to go to this audition, if you want to do this show, like you do your half and we will drive you, you know? And they show up to everything. Like they came to Mean Girls last week, and I would
Oh,
have not been able to have done that without them. And yeah, there was a like an open call for kids in the Philadelphia area. I'm from South Jersey, and my mom was just like, okay, let's go to this and see what happens. And I was in the children's ensemble. I was in probably collectively like 2 minutes of the entire show. It was like, let's go fly a kite. There were kids in that, and then we were like walking through the park. But there were six of us in that cast who were children, and we are still in touch to this day. There's a handful of us who are back in New York, and we meet each other for happy hour all the time because it was such a unique experience. It was Mary Poppins, the most magical show ever. We It was during the holiday season, so we spent all of our holidays really like rehearsals were during Halloween, which I was in the eighth grade, and I was like, wait, what? I thought it was like the end of the world that I couldn't go trick or treating, which is crazy. For an experience that's that amazing. Um, we spent Halloween together. Thanksgiving, we did the Thanksgiving parade
oh,
in Philadelphia, and then we were off on Christmas Eve and Christmas. The day after Christmas, we were back, and New Year's Eve was our closing party.
oh
And
my God.
we just like bonded so much. We played cards backstage, we did our homework backstage. It was just such a unique experience that not a lot of kids related to at the time. And so we just bonded so quickly. And now we're like friends to this day. The adults in that show were so amazing. Lindsay Bliven and David Elder were Bert and Mary. And I just looked up to them so much. Rebecca Robbins was Mrs. Banks, and she was amazing. She was in Phantom prior to that. And I just felt like I was soaking in all of this knowledge from all of these greats in the Philadelphia area. Um, and I remember they would do, they'd go on the news in Philadelphia, and I would just obviously sit at home and watch them. And I remember Lindsay Bliven said, advice that she'd give to young performers. She'd be like, you're going to get more no's than yeses. And I remember being 13, being like, write that down, write that down. And now I'm in New York as an actress, and I'm like, oh, darn, I did not realize how many no's she meant. But I
Yeah.
have her voice in my head now as a 25-year-old. I was, how many years is that? 12 years later? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it totally shaped my decision to pursue musical theater. It was so amazing. And it was such an amazing memory for my family as well, because we all got to experience it.
Yeah. Oh, how lucky are we to have like these formative years and make our professional debut
Yes.
so young? Like my professional debut, I was also 12, and I would
Uh-huh.
sit do my homework backstage, and my friends back in
Yes.
school would say, "Oh, Allie gets to cheat on her tests and she gets to have her mom as her teacher," because my mom would go to my school, pick up my tests, and then bring them
Yes.
on tour with me. And I'm like, guys, there's a big brown couch in my dressing room. I just want to sleep.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard as a
It
kid,
was.
but
I was leaving
how
school early, and
yeah.
the
Yeah.
teachers were amazing and so
Yeah.
flexible with me. But I was like, guys, I'm up until like
Yeah.
I'd come home at 2 a.m. and then be up for school at 8 a.m. and
Yeah.
nobody really knew that.
Yeah, it's not easy. And like you said, like I relate to that so much with the adults and like having them kind of take you
Mhm.
under their wing. Like I know you said it was so formative for you, and like it's so formative to get that advice when you're so young and to find that love
Mhm.
for it when you're so little. And for you to have done that with Mary Poppins is just so special. I love that show and the magic of it. My friend Eli Tokash, he was Michael Banks on the tour, and he's
Oh,
also
awesome.
in his mid-20s now, and he's like the choreo for Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
It's
It's still there.
ingrained.
He's like, it's
Yes,
still there. He's like,
of
it's been
course.
almost 12 years and it's still there.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I love that show and the magic of it. It's just incredible. And
Yes.
alongside Mary Poppins, you've brought so many stories to life in incredible regional theater productions, such as Mary Poppins, you did Little Women, Beauty and the
Yeah.
Beast, and so many more. So, which regional theater productions have been the most memorable for you? And can you share a few standout moments?
Yeah, well, the two you just mentioned, Little Women and Beauty and the Beast. Mean Girls is gonna be up there for sure
Of
for me.
course.
But when I was in high school, I did a regional production of Little Women. I played Beth March. I love the story of Little Women. My mom and I read it together when I was a little girl, and it was at this really teeny tiny theater in Hamilton, New Jersey called the Eagle Theater, which is it's still a space. They still put on shows, but at the time it was a regional equity theater. And it was this teeny, almost tiny, almost black box looking theater where they put on just really creative and innovative versions of shows. And so, Little Women, it's a 10-person cast, so it's small anyway. But we just had the coolest set of these, I don't even know what they were called. It was um, just like these scrims that came up and down throughout the show and that would bring in, the march parlor and would bring in her attic. And it was just they would put on the most creative shows. I remember seeing like Peter and the Starcatcher there before I had done Little Women, and it was just so cool. And they just take these minimal props and sets and just turn it into something so beautiful and so sick. Um, and that was just like, because I love the story of Little Women, I loved our cast as well. I loved the woman who played Jo, Kimberly Suskind. I am still close with to this day because that is my sister, that was my sister, and she took me under her wing. Again, I was 16. I was doing my homework backstage after I died as Beth. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert. If you don't know the story of Little Women, it's so many decades.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
old. You should know the end. But anyway, when I died as Beth, um, I would do my homework backstage, and the adults would help me. But I just think that's such a beautiful show. I would love to do it again. I'd love to play Jo someday, and just the music is so gorgeous.
I love
So
that.
I love that too.
Yeah, and you also got to do Belle, which is like a
Yes.
dream within a dream within a
Oh
dream.
my
What was that like?
goodness. It was amazing. We were at the Broadway Theater of Pittman in New Jersey as well, which is this enormous, it looks, it's a Broadway theater, it looks like, in this quaint town in New Jersey. And it was just, the grand production of Beauty and the Beast that you can imagine. Our costumes and our sets were gorgeous. You can't beat meeting little girls and their moms after shows and seeing them in a bell dress at the restaurant across the theater. And I would get, I don't know, I'd be like eating my dinner and there'd be a girl in a bell dress at the table next to me. And I'd just kind of be like, are you guys seeing the show? Obviously, not giving away any secrets of who I
Yeah.
was, but I'd get messages from moms on Facebook being like, you made an impact on my 4-year old. And I just remember I loved the princesses growing up. And so I was that little girl in a belle dress or in a princess dress. And that is just, I mean, it's magical. What can you like what's not to love about it? And actually that production, my Lumiere, Aaron Duffy, we were in Mary Poppins together when we were 13. And
Oh, I
so
love when the theater world works
it
like
was,
that.
yeah, it was just really well cast with, again, good people. And um, yeah, that's a role that's like my family's favorite that I did. And it's such a mega, aside from being a Disney musical, it's such a mega musical as well. It's so grand and everything. You just get to belt in this gorgeous old theater and, with a mezzanine and gosh, it was so amazing. I would do that again in a heartbeat as well.
And that's my favorite thing too about doing musicals that more have like a children target audience is it's so
Mhm.
special to get to go to the stage door and get those messages
Yes.
from parents and just see that impact that you have on those children because you don't know where those children are going to end up. Like that could have been
No.
their I'm so inspired, I want to pursue theater show, and they're going to go on and win Tony Awards.
Oh my
Like
gosh. That would
it's
be
so crazy
amazing.
to think about that, to be like you could be that for someone. And I just love when you get to see young children in the audience and how theater impacts them because you never know where you'll go. You just gotta follow the yellow brick road and they might end up on
Exactly.
Broadway. Like it's
Yeah.
so special. Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so you graduated from Rider University with a BFA in
Mhm.
musical theater and a minor in arts and entertainment industries management, which is so exciting because that's what I'm going into as well, theater and
Awesome.
arts and entertainment
Congratulations.
management. So I'm kind of excited to hear your answers and pick your brain a little bit. So how did your
Yes.
time at Rider prepare you for a career in the industry, and what was it like kind of honing in on your craft through the BFA program while also gaining an understanding of the business side of the industry when you were doing arts and entertainment management?
Yes. So, I chose Rider initially because of its proximity to New York City. And also, it was about an hour and a half from where I'm from in South Jersey. So it just felt like that happy medium of where I'm from. I can go home if I need to, but I am not going home all the time. But also, I have that access to New York. And another thing that I really loved about Rider was I felt like all three areas of theater were covered pretty equally, singing, acting, dancing. So like we were talking about before, it is like a triple major, which people don't realize. And I had a very unique college experience. I was the class of 2023, which meant my freshman year of college was when COVID hit. So I felt like we were just getting started with our BFA program, and then we were sent home. I was understudying the lead in our musical, Steel Pier, and that got shut down, and that was heartbreaking. And I went home and did college online for a year and a half, which is so crazy. My dad made me a tap board, and I took tap and jazz and ballet in my childhood bedroom. So it definitely wasn't ideal. It wasn't ideal, but the decision I made with choosing Rider in addition to the pandemic just made so much sense. I was like, okay, this is why, instead of, I almost went to school in Ohio and that would have been a little bit more complicated. But with the pandemic, I was able to kind of be a part of those two worlds and be in close proximity to each other. So that was good. I think the program has grown so much since I left, but because of COVID, our class wasn't really, a lot of them ended up transferring out or changing majors, and our class was a little small. I felt like we weren't very, um, I don't know, our showcase was a little strange. We didn't quite have the connections that the students at Rider have now or who had after us. And I think I can say that all those years later. The professors
Yeah.
changed my life. They were so amazing. My voice teacher, Amy Zorn, I still with to this day. I'm texting her like my Mean Girls warm up is a 20-minute recording of us.
Yes.
And my vocal coach, Lewis Goldberg, Robin Lewis, who is the head of our program, is just amazing. And I'm still in touch with all of them to this day. And I hope to have in my life for a really long time. The university itself, I liked that it wasn't quite a conservatory so that I could, pick up that minor in arts management. And I also was a part of the honors program. So I got to, be with people who were I always I don't I want to be with people who are smarter than me and who challenge me. And so that being able to just have intellectual conversations about something that was totally different from theater was very enriching. I was in a
Yeah.
sorority and just all of these things combined. I wouldn't change it for the world. But it was definitely because of the pandemic, because our class was so small by the end, I definitely had to take what I needed, and those were the things that I needed that shaped me, and then just kind of like filter out, the noise, and I think, and you come to New York and you're in audition rooms with people from all different BFAs and all different programs, people who didn't go to college, who did go to college for theater, and like everyone has those pros and cons. So um, that's my long-winded answer of my experience with Rider. But yeah, the arts and management program, I also am so glad that I picked up that minor as well because um, I was very interested in casting when I was in college. And that's something I'm still very interested in, but also just learning the business side of the arts, the business side of theater. I learned how to market myself in a way that I don't think I would have been able to if I hadn't taken those classes and if I hadn't learned, because you're your own business in the theater. And so that was primarily why I picked up that minor. I was like, even if I don't do something with this as a job, like on paper, I am going to take this forever and ever throughout my career. And now I don't know, I have my professors in my head as I'm building my website and as I'm pitching myself to agents and managers. And I have a little bit more I have more of a sense of the industry and the business of the industry than I would have if I hadn't picked that up.
Yeah, it's the coolest experience too when you kind of get to see the best of both worlds. Because I always felt
Yes.
like, as an actor, like I'm so worried about hitting my marks and the right notes coming out and getting my
Mhm.
lines out. And you don't realize that what you're doing has a whole behind the scenes kind of business perspective to it.
Yes.
And when you kind
Mhm.
of get a little look behind the curtain rather than worrying about what is happening in front of the curtain, it's such a cool perspective to see that I feel a lot of people don't know is there until you study it.
Yeah,
So that's
totally.
cool. So I'm excited to learn about this because you were the lead vocalist on the Norwegian Cruise Line on the Oceania
Yes.
Sirena ship. So what was your overall experience like performing on a cruise ship? And what did that experience kind of teach you about versatility and performance in general?
Yeah, um oh my gosh, that's a that's a
I
loaded
know.
question.
I love the question.
I that was my goal when I graduated from college was to book a cruise ship. I had never been out of the country and I wanted to what a way to see the world.
What a
I
way.
wanted to travel in my early 20s when I didn't really have too many ties here before I started my career and I boarded the ship we rehearsed in Tampa we started in August of 2024 and I finished my contract in April of 2025. So it was about 9 months, give or take, um, of that experience. And it was just amazing. There was a cast of six of us. It was a very small ship. The Sirena is it's through Norwegian Cruise Lines. So we rehearsed at that facility, and all of our shows were through the Norwegian Creative Studios. But the Oceania ship is more like yacht status. It's a little more country club vibes than and we went on more smaller excursions. So we went through the Amazon River and the Baltics, and we had ports that maybe a giant party ship, you think like the giant Norwegian ships or the Royal Caribbean ships that maybe they don't really fit into those ports. So we got to go to a lot of more like remote destinations, which was pretty cool. And then the shows itself, we did four different review style shows. So we had a Broadway concert, we had um, acoustic sessions, which was like acoustic sets of like 70s and 80s music, like Michael Jackson, The Police, and Billy Joel, and um, that was kind of like an MTV unplugged vibe. And we had a headliner show. So Celine Dion and Dolly Parton and Tina Turner, all that. And then we had a show called Debonair, which was like Great American Songbook, Frank Sinatra, Michael Bublé, Dean Martin stuff. And all of the, like, before I developed so much more confidence in singing pop rock music and all different, really just all different kinds of genres, country, folk, um, even like rock and R&B a little bit. And that's where musical theater is going, and that's where it's been. The amount of shows I go in for, even if it feels like musical theater, they'll be like, do not sing musical theater, sing pop rock.
Wow. Yep.
And before that experience, I'd be like, oh gosh, I'd be sounding like Glee, the Glee
Well,
versions of the songs, which honestly, not a
yeah.
bad thing. Not a bad thing. I love a Glee version, but I don't know. I developed more of an understanding of singing pop rock songs. And I don't know, I'm just a lot more confident when I go into a room and can sing that kind of music. It's definitely an experience. There are people who go on cruise ships and they do it for years and years. And they meet their spouses. Two of my very good friends, they're married and they travel on each ship together and work together. Um, for me, I'm so family oriented and I love theater so much that I missed doing a musical. I missed doing a show. And so I would never say never, but I definitely after that experience, I'm so glad I had it. It's so
Yeah.
invaluable. And I think anyone who, especially when you're first graduating from college, like go in for all of the cruise shows and you'll either love it or you'll say, maybe this is not for me. But after that, I made the decision. I was like, I saved up a ton of money so that I was able to move to New York and then pursue my dreams of, being on Broadway and doing regional theater. And it's paying off thus far. But
Yes,
it was
my
amazing.
queen.
I would not trade it for the world.
Oh, I can't imagine what that experience must have been like, getting to perform like on the sea. Like it's
It
so
is so
crazy. Like
unique.
people don't realize that. Like I was talking to Caroline about like doing six on a boat
Yes.
and it's moving. And I'm just like,
Yes.
people don't realize like my family is a cruise family. We cruise every summer and like
Mhm.
I'm at every single show. Like when they have the shows at 7:30 and 9:30, catch me at both. Like
Catch me at both. Yes.
I love supporting and like just
Oh,
seeing
so
it and like
sweet.
as a performer, like it's the coolest thing to be like you're moving, you're on a boat. Like people don't
Yes.
realize how hard it is. People that aren't theater people are gonna listen to this and be like, "What?" But my theater people are gonna get this. Standing on a
They,
stage and standing still, it's not easy. When you're doing
it's
that
not.
on a rocking boat, like it's crazy. It's
I can't
insane.
imagine I danced a little bit in one of the shows on the ship. And even that, I was like, whoa, I am not
Yeah,
I cannot imagine being a cruise ship dancer. It is so impressive to
yeah.
me
All of the
because,
cruise shows that I've seen, my jaw is just on the floor. Like it is the
yeah.
coolest thing. And like those are some of my fondest memories on cruises is just
Mhm.
the entertainment. It's so
Oh,
incredible.
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've also stepped into the world of pageantry. So
Yes.
when did your experience as Miss New Jersey 2023 and competing in the Miss America competition teach you about yourself as a woman and as an artist?
Yes, great question. So I won Miss New Jersey through the Miss America program a month after graduating college in 2023. And I was not a toddler and tiara person.
Yeah.
I really had done theater for like 2 years. Again, bringing up COVID. Theater was shut down. I wanted a chance to perform and I also wanted to earn scholarships. And Miss America is the largest scholarship provider for women in the country. And I was like, you know what? There's a talent portion of this. My dad is a teacher, and one of his colleagues was a local director, and she came into my dad and was like, your daughter's a singer. Would she want to do this local pageant? And my dad was like, well, she's always wanted to wear a prom dress again. So and he comes home and he's like, I just signed you up for a pageant. And I was like, Dad, what does that mean? Like, I knew nothing about that world. But I had, again, amazing mentors and I won my first local pageant. I competed for Miss New Jersey in 2022 and made the top 10. And I met incredibly smart, talented, funny women. And I was like, okay, maybe I want to take another crack at this. I was finishing up my senior year of college and I was like, if I can earn some scholarships doing this, why not? Let's try it. And I won my second year competing and it was just amazing. I paid off all of my student loans through the scholarships that I earned. And we all have platforms. through the program. So I advocated for arts education and literacy. There's a fun fact. Our current Miss America, Cassie Donegan, she was Dawn and waitress at the Cape Playhouse a couple of years ago. So she's
Oh
a
my
musical theater
gosh.
performer. And the thing that I loved about pageantry that I didn't really know was that, again, personal branding is so important in the theater. And I learned how to do that through pageantry. You have a 10-minute interview in competition where they can ask you about anything. It is so scary and also kind of fun when you know, thinking on your feet like that. And after I had that experience, I realized I was a better auditioner because I was so comfortable in my own skin. It's a women's empowerment program. And I was just so confident going into the audition room because I was like, okay, if I can do a 10-minute Miss America interview where they can ask me about politics and like all of the scary things, then I can go into a 1-minute audition and sing a song that I love and share myself. I think something that's a little I think actors sometimes struggle with just auditioning because it's so easy to play a part in a show and hide behind that mask of whatever character you're playing. And even if, you know, even if it's an emotional or raw performance, you know, you can kind of hide behind that character and not really share your own secrets. But when you're auditioning, you're playing yourself and you kind of have to be like, this is me, take me or leave me, which I think is one of the hardest things that people can do. It is so vulnerable and, um, that is what pageantry forces you to do, to get up in front of everybody and play yourself. And that was such an invaluable experience. And I'm so thankful that I had it. Competing at Miss America was such a whirlwind. I think I just had such a blast because I did not expect to ever do anything like that. And the women that I met were so amazing. Literally, you're with like 50 of the nation's most intelligent and driven women. My with just incredible like doctors and lawyers and actresses and professionals and um really like I just think the world of all of the girls that I competed with. I am very close with them. The girl who won the year I won, Madison Marsh, was one of my best friends that week. And so seeing, you know, I was there for a good time, you know. And I think that's why my experience was so positive. I didn't leave winning Miss America, but one of my best friends did. And I've probably had just as great of an experience as she did because I got to watch somebody that I loved experience, like win Miss America and watch Miss America get crowned in person, which is just crazy. And it was amazing. Pageant girls are not, I mean, maybe in some experiences they are what you think they are, but it wasn't catty. It wasn't competitive like I thought it was. It was more because everyone was so confident and everyone had worked on themselves. All there is to do is uplift each other. And so we were just there, you know, everyone did the work ahead of time. And then we all got to come together and have this, again, like unique experience that is going to bond you because nobody else really knows about or has experienced it. And so we do girls trips once a year. We went to Florida together. You have a friend in every state. So if you're traveling to a
Yes.
state, I'll be like, okay, I wonder like where Tara is and, you know, in conjunction to this place, you know. My friend group was me, New Jersey, Florida, Colorado, Wisconsin, and Georgia, which is literally like every corner of the
Everywhere.
country, which is insane. And then like my roommate was Miss New Hampshire, who is a doctor and got married after Miss America and has a beautiful little girl. And I am still close to her as well this day. And I think the world of these women. I could literally go through all 51 of them and just tell you all about them. And I just think they're so interesting and amazing and inspiring. And um, they inspire me to be better in my everyday life as well. And it was, again, an amazing experience. So a very unique experience, especially for your first year post grad. But such a whirlwind and just so cool, so cool.
Wow. And your platform was focused on literacy and arts education. And
Yeah.
while your work as an actress, I mean, you've done such an incredible job, like amplifying female voices in all of the roles
Oh, thank
you played.
you.
Like, it's just
Thanks.
so special to get to see you do that. And how has your experience in pageantry kind of influenced the way you use your voice and the stories that you choose to tell in theater?
Yeah, I just think I have been so lucky to I feel like every aspect of my life, I'm just surrounded by the most incredible women. Through Miss America, through the survival jobs I've had in New Jersey and New York have all been for different businesses that are run by women. And I just think they can do anything. And especially now, I just think it makes so much sense that my first theater job post grad is Mean Girls, a show that has
Yeah.
five leading women who are all so different, who all have basically like 11 o'clock numbers. Cady, like, Cady is technically the lead and doesn't leave the stage, but all of these, like, they're just dynamic roles. And to be able to like share the stage with such amazing talented, multifaceted women is so invaluable. And you don't get that a lot in theater. You don't think about, I mean, there are, you know, amazing stories about women in musical theater. But when you think about it, you're like, oh my gosh, there's five leading women in Mean Girls. And I joked about this on a podcast last week where I was like, okay, besides that, you have six. So I
Yeah.
backtracked there.
Yeah.
I was like, because they have six leading women, they beat it. But then you think of shows like Guys and Dolls who have all of these leading men. You think of, Assassins and I don't know, you start to think about it and you're like, wait a minute, that it's not it's a little rare. And yeah, um I feel like it is so full circle that I get to do this show, Mean Girls, and that, it's a show that has so many different female characters and leading women that I think young girls can look at this. I think why it was so popular, especially when it um, came to Broadway, was that young girls could look at the show and be like, "Oh, I'm a Janice. I'm it's like the new like Little Women was so popular because it's like you could see which March
Which one
sister
you
you
were?
were, and now it's like I'm a Cady, I'm a Regina. Like I can't wait to play this role. Um, and so that has just been so amazing. We meet girls all the time, especially their youth program did Mean Girls Junior this summer as well. So we've met a
Oh,
handful of the cast members and they're all like, this is my dream show. It's really it's so cool. Especially in musical theater. Like you think of theater programs, you have all girls in high school where you're like, what do we
yeah.
do with all these? And so now like high schools have been able to do it and that's been so amazing. But I think just my experience with pageantry and uplifting female voices, it's just I feel like I can go with any character and I can think of an incredible woman I know who could, be my inspiration for that role. And yeah.
And I can't imagine how special I See Stars must be for you every night, kind of getting to rip off pieces of that crown.
Yes,
Like
it is
that
so full
symbolism for
circle.
you. Like I'm obsessed with full circle moments. Like that is something I will
Yes.
always bring up on this podcast. Like full circles just make me the happiest. And like I
Yes.
can't imagine what that is like for you, having done pageantry and winning Miss New Jersey and then now
Yeah.
getting to play Katie and doing that at the end of every
Yeah.
show. Like
It's such a
wow.
I have such a funny story from the night I was um basically like crowning a new Miss New
Yeah.
Jersey. Like then my final night as Miss New Jersey. I was kind of considered like the girl next door from that year because I was not that like this pageant girl, but I, could hold myself well and I don't know. Um but I was relatable and I think people liked that. I hope. But my final night as Miss New Jersey, I was wearing these huge earrings, And just like towards the end of the night, they just kept falling out and crashing on the ground. Then I was like losing the earring backs. And I like literally, I was just mid speech and then they'd fall and I'd go, oh no. And then I'd get sidetracked trying to find these earrings. So it was like this bit of the night. And I said something. Then I like lost the earring back. Somebody backstage took their earring back off and put it on mine. And I said something. I was like, well, maybe the earring backs are the friends we made along the way, like as a joke. And everyone laughed.
Oh,
And this girl, um, this girl that I'm friends with from the pageant world, Hannah Chambers, she came up to me after and she was like, "Oh my gosh, the earring bit was so Cady Heron at the spring fling." Like, because it was just like falling, like the earrings were falling into the like these giant earrings were just,
oh,
I was like, I can't deal with these anymore. And she was like, it was so spring fling. And like my parents had never seen Mean Girls, so like they didn't get that joke. And now I see stars and do the breaking of the crown. And I just think of her
oh.
every single night. And after my mom saw the show last week, I was like, because she just kind of laughed. She was like, "It's so funny to see you up there with the, with the crown
Yeah.
and the sash
Yeah.
as Spring Fling Queen." And I was like, "Well, that's what Hannah was talking about when she was like, it's so Cady Heron Spring Fling." And she was like, "Oh my God, I would have never put that because she doesn't know
You put
anything
two and
about
two
Mean Girls."
together
She
now.
was like, "That is
Oh,
so funny," but it was so like early 2000s, like I don't know. But just so funny. I think all of the experiences that I have wanted to play Katie for so long, like ever since it came out. But I think the experience of being Miss New Jersey and the experience of being on a cruise ship and basically like living in the jungle and going down the Amazon River and, going on all these excursions, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of, I have these bits and pieces of my life that are very Cady Heron coded. And I don't think I could have played Katie unless I had these experiences prior. So it's just been, yeah, there have been a lot of full circle moments with this show that I'm so thankful for.
I always believe that what's meant for you won't pass you by, and if a role doesn't come to you, it might come back to you in the future because you weren't meant to play it at that time. And I just think it's so
100%.
perfect that you got to have all those experiences and kind of lead up to it. And I'm so excited to dive into all things Mean Girls now because it's the
Yes.
final week, which is gonna
Yes,
make me
let's do it.
cry.
I know. I can't believe
So
it.
you are currently portraying the role of Cady Heron in Mean Girls at the Cape Playhouse. So what was your reaction when you found out that you would be playing Cady in Mean Girls at the Cape? Because this is your Cape Playhouse debut. Such
Yes.
an iconic role and venue. How does that feel?
Oh my goodness. So again, like I've been in for Mean Girls so much. I taped for the tour for multiple years and never heard anything from that. I've wanted to be in Mean Girls for so long. My freshman year of college, one of my best friends, Danny Feldman, he is a composer and a writer in theater and a performer as well. And like my first week of college, he knocked on my dorm room door and was like, I just saw Mean Girls on Broadway. You have to play Katie. Can we go down into the practice room? I need to teach you this music. And I was like, I can't sing like that, Danny. What are you talking about? And he was like, no, you have to. So we had this like running joke where he was like, I'm your Katie coach. And at the time, that was like, it was still on Broadway. They were having like EPAs
Yay.
and I
Yeah.
would I would go to the EPA and not get seen at all, but it was just a day to like sit in the audition studio and like do my homework and people watch. And he'd be like, this is for you one day. And I'd be like, okay, Danny, whatever. And I just, every chance I got to submit, I would. The non-union tour came around and nothing really came of that. And I was like, okay, I don't know if Mean Girls is for me. Like, I'm hearing radio silence. And um, now it's, all now the rights are out for regional
Yeah.
theaters to do it. And I it's so fun. It's so funny to like so many theaters are doing it. And the same friend Danny, went to see his show. He was in Elf at the Surflight this holiday season, and which is kind of a little close to where I'm from. So we got coffee before the show, and it was like right before the audition season. And he was like, okay, he was like, I know you go into the audition season and you have to have no expectations, but he was like, what are things that you would just have your eye on that you're like, you have these delusional thoughts about, because,
Oh, that's what we
and
do. We're actors.
that's what we do. Like, I romanticize the jobs that I haven't even, like, what are you talking,
You start planning your
Um,
life once you get an audition as if you've booked it. And my
of
parents are like, chill, you
course.
haven't even booked it yet.
Of course. Like,
Oh,
and I was like, I said to him, well, the Cape Playhouse is doing Mean Girls, but I don't even know if I'll get seen for that. And I don't have an agent. I joined the union this past fall and really
yay.
went into this audition season with no expectations, really just to move to New York to have this experience and to make connections. And I had no connections. And I went in for all of the EPAs for the theaters that were doing Mean Girls, and I was in for Cady for most of them. Like my roommates were getting so annoyed with me where I'd be like, "Can
Oh my
you
God.
read for Aaron Samuels again? I'm so sorry." And so it was the Mean Girls year and the Hairspray year. All the theaters are doing
Yes, yes,
Hairspray.
yes, yes, and more. Yes, yes.
Yes. And all of the theaters are doing Mean Girls. And I have like on my TikTok a video of me like trudging through the streets of New York in a blizzard. And I'm like, this is me because I would do anything for a regional production of Mean Girls. Like, and it was just this thing I spoke into existence kind of as a joke, but also like this is something I know I'm right for and that I could do. And um yeah, the Cape Playhouse, this production was the last production of Mean Girls that I was in for. And I kind of like, I didn't get Katie at the other theaters. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, well, the Cape Playhouse is so iconic. Like, I I won't get that one, but like I'll go in. And this is this is the one that I booked. And I I don't like really like what is meant for you will not pass you by.
Totally.
Um it is, I mean, I'm from Jersey, which is still a trek to get to Cape Cod from Jersey, but it was manageable for, a lot of my friends and family to drive up here. It's at the way that this timeline is, it was like right when my sublet was up in New York, so I like didn't have to sublet my sublet for other jobs. It just kind of lined up so perfectly and this I don't even remember what your original question was, but
No, please,
um,
no, please. You
I
hit
think
it.
I'm answering it. I don't know.
You're good.
This experience has just been so amazing. I think the great thing about the Cape Playhouse is that they really prioritize hiring good people, which is so surprising to me that I even booked this because I don't have an agent. I had nobody to advocate for me. So they just hired me off of sheer vibes. And thank goodness I like to think I'm a good person, but they did
You
not know
are.
me at all.
Yeah.
Um, and so anyway, everyone in this show is just so kind, so inspiring, so hardworking. The creative team, Al Blackstone, is phenomenal. Leads with kindness. He's so creative and silly and fun. Like the director that you would want to direct Mean Girls the musical. And something else that's really cool about this is that it's not a copy paste version from Broadway. Al is a phenomenal choreographer and the ensemble of this show, they are carrying this whole show. They are the true storytellers. This is Mean Girls was a big dance show before.
Yeah.
This story is told through dance, this
Yeah.
version.
Your
And
Apex
it is
Predator. Oh my
oh
God.
my gosh, isn't it
Oh my
visually
God.
it is so sick. The choreography for that is my favorite.
So good.
He is so creative and so smart and I'm just so lucky. Like I my word of the year this year was lucky.
Oh,
And that's what I just keep saying. I cannot believe I even got an appointment for this. Everyone else kind of got appointments through their agents and I went through the EPA and for some reason they saw like caught a vibe or like saw something in me that I don't know, I didn't see in myself and I just yeah, I've wanted to play this role for so long and it makes sense that now is the time that I get to do it. It is so fun. Like, I mean, you go to theater to escape sometimes.
yeah.
And Mean Girls is just so hysterical and so funny. If I have a bad day, I get to come to work and just laugh and giggle and play. And it's so joyous and so wonderful. I like, oh my gosh, playing Katie has been amazing. It's been challenging. It is the hardest role I've ever played. I get one sip of water throughout the entire show because I don't leave the stage.
Yeah.
And it's so sneaky. It's so sneaky too because you listen to the soundtrack and they're like, you don't really, Cady's not on every track of the soundtrack. So unless you see the show, you're like, wait, this girl is in everyone's serving vocals down.
Yeah.
But Cady never leaves the stage. So it's been so interesting to navigate and just like, yeah, I feel like a broken record, but it's just like made so much sense that this, every no that I've received before that, I'm like, has shaped me to play this role now. And I've really been preparing for it because I've been lucky enough to do the material so many times in the audition room that now I hope
Oh,
I'm a well-oiled machine. I've done the work. And
oh, yeah. And please
um
tell me Danny's seen you in the show.
no, oh my goodness.
Oh.
He hasn't yet. I am sending him all of the videos.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, we
He
gotta throw
is
it back to you guys.
I'm texting
Practice
him
with
every day.
that.
I'm like my Katie coach, like here's another video.
Oh.
He is also the busiest person in the world.
Yeah,
His
yeah, yeah.
sister got married our like first weekend of shows, and he's
Oh.
and he's like, I'm mad, and I'm like, well, that's a great excuse. Like,
No, timing, I know. The
so he's
timing
that, but I have
sometimes.
all of it for him, and I do like I
Okay.
thank him for
Oh,
doing like I don't know. I said so. I was like, thank you for seeing this role in me when I didn't think I could do it because it really just like ignited that interest and it became one of like my greatest dream roles and my favorite role I ever got to do.
yeah. And now you're here doing it at one of the most iconic theaters. And I had you
Yes.
dive into how did you
Uh-huh.
prepare for stepping into such an iconic and beloved role while also putting your own stamp on the character?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the movie. It's so iconic. But I also knew that I am not Lindsay Lohan. I'm not like I'm just not and she is so cool and so amazing but like I don't look like her. I don't sound like her. So I there are definitely a couple sound bites that I like to honor like it's not my fault you're like in love with me or something is a little
Yeah,
bit more in her world. And I put
yeah.
fake freckles on for the show that
Oh,
I
my
I
queen.
don't think you can see from the stage but it's important to me.
Yeah.
um but Erica Henningsen really originated the role of Cady that I think is so similar to me. I think out of all the musical theater roles, Cady is the most like me in real life. And so that's where the role feels very honest and not like I feel like I'm not, even when I was auditioning for it, I was just kind of going in as myself, and not trying to be like, okay, I'm playing this role, I'm going to hold myself this way. It's literally just like I got to relax and just really like read the lines on the page as myself. And it just fit really well for this point in my life. And, but I think the Katie that Lindsay Lohan played is a little bit more like a little cooler, little more vocal fry, a little low, like she lays a little lower and that just does it. It's so great for the movie. She's so brilliant in that movie and hysterical. Like, oh my gosh, I love the movie so much, but it doesn't read as well on stage. You'd
Yeah.
have like, and I think Erica Henningsen did such a great job at kind of turning her into this not quite bright-eyed ingenue a little bit, but also that wild teenage, optimistic side that we love. Kind of like Anna and Frozen, I think is a lot of inspiration for this. A lot of the lines are very voice actory and sit high on the voice, also because the vocals are so jumpy and kind of acrobatic that you have to like keep it at this pace. So um that's where I live is that ingenue side, really honestly to like sustain the vocals, but also to create a role that reads well from a stage. And I hope it works. I like to think it does. But yeah, and then also really I think something else that I've had to navigate is Cady in Act One and then Cady in Act Two, Plastic Cady. Um, And so the first act, I'm in cargo pants and sneakers, and actually sneakers that my grandfather has. I put them on and I was like,
I'm
do you not have
obsessed.
these sneakers? They're like hiking shoes, but they're so comfortable. And I just feel so grounded in Act One, in like my big pink t-shirt, and
Yeah,
my backpack. And then in Act Two, it's just a total transformation where the heels come on, the skirts get shorter.
yeah.
And so learning to hold myself in a different way. That's kind of when Miss New Jersey comes out a little bit, I think.
Yes.
Of
So,
that double life is back.
yeah,
And so it does feel like two different sides of me. I do
yeah,
really love being grounded. I love being in my pajamas and I like being comfortable. And so that's when it's really great for Act One. And then Act Two, I also do like to be a little bit glamorous and wear a heel. And
yeah.
um, I get to experience both of those sides, which has been so, so fun to just like see her arc and get to play around with that.
And it's like playing two characters in one, kind of when you're in that vibe. And
Basically,
I feel like
yeah.
that's so cool and such a beautiful challenge as an actor. And another
Mhm.
challenge, of course, is doing the shows in heels. That's something I tell Gina a lot. Like every time I see The Outsiders, I'm just like, how do you do that in heels? Like it's so crazy.
Yeah.
And, like I hate having to wear heels when I'm on stage. Like I love a good heel
Mhm.
moment, but when I'm dancing, I'm
Yes.
like,
Oh,
oh
of
no.
course. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, no, what a fun experience kind of getting to play both those sides of Katie and like kind of that you have that kind of two-sided, multifaceted perspective with her. What has playing her taught you so far about yourself as both a person and as a performer?
I think the greatest thing that Katie has taught me is that there's always something to learn. She is experiencing high school for the very first time, and as I think high school is just these 4 years of information where
Yeah,
you're just like it's just so overwhelming anyway. But for somebody who's been pretty much separated from society up until then, there are so many new discoveries, and um, I've learned that there. I've learned that there's more to learn throughout every single day, and there's so much you can discover to be, a student of the world. And um, I think having that perspective, even going on stage every night, I feel like I can go on stage and watch somebody else in the ensemble. And every day, I feel like every day I get to pick up on a new choice that everyone makes. And that, makes me laugh and
yeah.
sometimes break, but also feel really inspired. And that's who Katie is throughout the entire show. She's just overwhelmed with all of this information and is just taking in like people and the world just by storm. And it, I think that's what it's taught me is to just like, leave your ego out the door, leave all that, and just like be a sponge and soak in these, first of all, like incredible professionals that I get to work with every single day. And also just soak in like all the different choices that they get to make on stage because it creates a new show every single time. And um, I don't know, it's so cool. I've been having such a blast doing this.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite part about playing Katie and getting to tell this beloved story?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I love her music so
Yeah.
much. It sits really well in my voice, and I just feel it's a monster of a score, but I feel like it's all the parts of my voice that I love singing in. And so that's where I feel the most joyous is when you know, um, all of the music starts and I get to sing this badass score.
So good.
Um, but also I love her wit. I love her comedic timing. Tina Fey is brilliant. And she takes this, it gets kind of deep. It's a story about how women are naturally pitted against each other in society and starting at a very young age. And how do you navigate that? And how do you learn to lift each other up during those trials and tribulations? And that's like a little deep, but somehow Tina Fey takes that narrative and makes this lighthearted, hysterical show. She touches upon it in such a brilliant, brilliant way that anyone can relate to and anyone can have a good time while they're watching or while they're performing. And I just think her comedic timing, her writing is so brilliant. It's so dry. And there are some words that just, there are some lines that just jump off the page, and I hear Tina Fey in my head. Um, but I just think Katie's lines are so funny and so dry and sometimes um, the way I speak, I'm a little dry or matter of fact, and but I don't pick up on sarcasm very well. And I've always been innocent. Like I sometimes I'm not very good at pop culture, and those are the sides of Katie that I relate to so much. Even like when somebody says a joke to me, sometimes I'm just like, oh gosh, I want to no,
Yeah.
I want to be sarcastic so bad, and I can't do it. But she's just so like dry and matter of fact, and some of the lines are just so like my one of my favorite lines is when Erin's like, "Oh, I like your shirt," and she's like, "Ah, thanks. It still smells like sausage from the last time I wore it," which is so Tina Fey and so
Yeah.
just like
Oh,
blunt and like no filter at all. She's kind of like I think what I love about Katie is she's like Buddy the Elf. I love Elf. I love
yes.
Will
Yes.
Ferrell. And she's just like this teenage female version of Buddy the Elf, like experiencing the world for the very first time. And it's so endearing and but it's also just hysterical because there's a lot of things that she learns that we don't think about in our everyday life that just makes it so funny.
Do you have a favorite scene, song, or moment in the show that you look forward to performing each night?
Oh my goodness, I do. Oh gosh, I feel like every time I have a new one. But I do
Yeah.
love the first classroom scene when she
Yeah.
shows up to school for the first time and just switching from the way that it's blocked, switching from class to class, and the introduction of all of these, it's when she meets Erin for the first time and when she meets Damien and Janice, but also Miss Norbury and all the, Coach Carr is introduced, and
Yeah.
just the jokes in that first scene really set the tone for the show.
Yeah.
That it's just, it is so funny and um, just dry and just, I like to do a role where it's just like you get on the train and you go and you
You
don't have
don't
to
get
think about
off. Yeah.
anything. And that first scene is such a whirlwind
Yeah.
to do. I do, but I also love I'm changing my answer. I do love that. This is but my real favorite scene is, which is something totally different. I love More is Better with Erin in Katie's bedroom after Whose House Is This? It is the one time in the show where I get to really be still. And Ryan, who you're going to talk to later,
Yeah.
who plays Aaron, he is such a brilliant actor. He's so grounded in like the world of Mean Girls where it's all just, high stakes and high energy and everyone's so like in your face and, high voice, he is just a very grounded, brilliant actor. He's like I said this one day, he's like the human in the Muppet movie, like the one human that's in the Muppet movie, where he's like, what is going on? Why is everyone singing around me? And it's just the one time in the show where we both sit on the floor of the stage and sing together. And it's not a high belt song. It is just like in the head voice and it feels good and it's so grounded. And I just trust him so much. He is so kind and just like I don't know. I love doing scenes with him. I learn something from him every day as well. He's so smart, and I just think the world of him. And so that's like the one time in the show where I get to breathe and like look out in the audience and just like have this moment with Ryan. And um, I don't know. I feel like it's when I feel the most human too
Those,
during the
those
show.
are, the best moments. Like I had that. I just played Natalie in Next to Normal,
Oh
and
my
like
gosh,
having
great
having
show.
those moments in the show, like right at the end of the show, when we got to sing "Hey Three," which is like the Perfect for You reprise.
Yes.
Having that
Hmm.
moment, it's like exactly what you said. It's the only moment in the show where there's just stillness, like the craziness, like
Yes.
breathe and you can have a minute and just have that connection. And I just feel like
Yeah.
that is just some of my favorite parts in theater is when the show is so crazy and high energy or emotional, and you have that moment where it's just like, okay, we're grounded, we're
Hmm.
here, and we're doing it.
Yes.
Do you
Hmm.
have a favorite Katie song to sing?
I do. It changes every single day. I
Yeah.
think More is Better is my
Yeah.
favorite. I
Oh, yeah,
love singing in
always.
my head voice.
Oh,
But I also love, I mean, It Roars is so good. It's the
so good. So good.
first song of the show, and I just love, like, it's the I Want song, and
Yeah. Yeah.
um I'm just so filled with joy every time I do it. I get to climb up and down the set, and
Yeah.
um act like I'm climbing Kilimanjaro, and get to run around, and it's just, I think it's so cute. I love it. I love watching it when other people do it. And I love to do it myself.
Yeah. I also need to shout out, I apologize, Filled with Calculus. I also need to shout that out. I am so sorry.
Oh, wait, shout it out. Great line.
Shout it out. Because I mean, that is every time I see Mean Girls, like I'm obsessed with the show, but every
Uh-huh.
time I see Mean Girls, I'm just sitting in my seat waiting for it. I'm like, thank you,
Yeah.
Super Love. I'm like, thank you. That line will forever be ingrained in my head always. So
Yes.
we also have to talk about your rehearsal process leading up to opening, kind of reminisce a little bit, because you had 3 weeks to rehearse, which is crazy. So what was
Yeah.
that rehearsal process kind of like for you? And then what was it like finally getting to step out on stage for that first performance and then now being in the final week?
Yeah, we had a shorter rehearsal process than that. We had about 10 or 11 days of rehearsal in New York,
No,
which is crazy, is insane.
insane.
And then 2 days of tech when we came
Yeah.
to the Cape. And
Oh my God.
I don't know. This has been the quickest process I've ever had, and I felt a lot of pressure and a lot of imposter syndrome when I started this, because I was like, oh my God, like, I knew who Caroline was before this show started. And I have always thought the world of her. Like, I followed her on TikTok. She's such a smart vocalist and brilliant performer. And I knew that she had been in Six, and like the Broadway World article came out, and everyone just had these amazing credits. And I really did, like, my credit in the Broadway World article was the Walnut Street Theater when I was 13. And I was like, I haven't done anything of this caliber in a really long time. And so before starting, I knew I had so much imposter syndrome, where I don't want to say imposter syndrome, but also just like I was inspired by the people that I was cast with, and looking everyone up and just being like, wow, they have done so much. They're brilliant actors and vocalists. And I just want to I need to raise myself to that standard that they are at, especially leading the show. And so I knew it was such a quick process that I had never done before. And I got the script ahead of time, and I just made sure I showed up off book the first day.
Yeah.
And that was so helpful.
Yeah.
I like got it even I knew somebody, I knew Landry Champlin, who played Regina at another theater, who was doing the same version, because we're doing the West End version. And I
Mm.
like DM'd her on Instagram, and I was like, this is so random, but do you have this PDF? Like, I just want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. And so even before our cast got the scripts, I had the script, and I was like, I need to show up for this. Like,
Yeah.
I care so much about this project, and I care so much about this show. I want to make sure that I'm doing all the work I can before I start this. And that really made such a positive rehearsal process for me personally. Somehow I wasn't as stressed out as I thought I was going to be, because I had done all that prior work. And obviously, like, I went through all the songs with my voice teacher and made sure I had all that in check. And um but because that process was so quick, I was like, what can I do ahead of time in my own time? And then for 10 days we were in a studio in New York, really just blocking the show, and putting all those pieces together, and everyone really came in knowing their stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it helps that it's a show where the soundtrack has been around for a long time. So
Yeah.
everyone is I don't think anyone in the show has done Mean Girls before, but when we were asked about it if we had done it before, we all were like, well, we've been in for it so many times, so that
Valid. It
that was
feels like you've
helpful,
done
where
it.
it
Valid.
feels like, I'm like,
Valid.
I've done these sides, and everyone felt that way about their
Yeah.
own, respective characters. And um so we had 10 days to put that together with the creative team, with everybody in the space. And then that we took a bus to the Cape on Sunday and had like a welcome barbecue and did like mic fittings in the theater. And then Monday and Tuesday were tech days, and week where we cued the show and cued all the lights. And Wednesday we had our dress rehearsal, and then Wednesday night we started our first preview. And that was our first preview was the first time we had run the show in its entirety. And
Yeah.
my best friend and her mom came, and I was like, guys, I don't know what this is going like.
Yeah.
I have faith, but just know we did not run that last seat. This is the first time we're doing Icy Stars in the theater. So just like know that. And they were like, we cannot believe that was the first time that you ever did. And I think that's just a testament to everyone's work ethic, from, the crew, from the creative team to the actors. Just everyone was like, all right, all hands on deck. I'll look out for you. You look out for me. Like, just everyone had each other's back, with such a quick process. But
Yeah.
it was awesome. It was
Wow.
just such a whirlwind.
Yeah. That's insane. I mean, what a rehearsal process, and like it's just crazy. And like what has been your highlight moment in Mean Girls so far?
Oh my goodness, my highlight moment. Well, opening night was so
Yeah.
fun. It's the Cape Playhouse is so full of tradition and history, and one of those traditions is after every opening night, they have a cast party, and then the whole cast and crew, we walk to the beach and dip our toes in the water. And um, we just had so much fun at the beach after such a quick rehearsal process and such a stressful process. It was the first time where we really got to play together, and we all just felt like kids. Like, we were splashing in the water at night
Oh,
at the beach on Cape Cod. And I came home and then like texted my best friend, and I was like, this is one of the best nights of my life, like core memory for sure, because it was such a celebration of all of the work we had already done, and also just like the beginning bookend of the process we were about to start with our shows. And gosh, we just had so much fun together. That has been my highlight. Everyone in this cast is just so funny, and which you have to be a specific kind of person to do Mean Girls. It's like
yeah.
you have to have a
Yeah.
sense of humor, you have to have energy. So just this whole cast is just full of youthful joy and creativity. And um that was just like my core memory for sure. And we play every day. We go to the beach. I don't know. We just get to hang out. We're in a house of 5 people, and we just have fun together every day. So it's a group of people that I hope to have in my life for a very long time. And I'm really thankful.
Oh, that makes me so happy. And to
Mm.
finish us off, looking back on everything you have achieved in this industry, what advice would you give your younger self entering the industry?
Oh, I think the best advice I could give to my younger self, or to young people, is, as cliche as it is, to believe in yourself and believe that you can do the job and that you can do the work. Like I said before, imposter syndrome is so real. But I fully believe that when you're in this industry, you have to be delusional, and you have to have your best interest. And if you have no faith in yourself, then no one else is going to. And so any audition, any job, you have to go into it believing that you have the job already, or that you were the person to do it. Because then, the creative team is going to see you in that role, and they're going to see still, you have to be humble. You have to be kind. That is the first thing, especially this experience. Good people want to work with good people. And it makes the process so much lighter and more enjoyable when everyone's a good person. You can be a good person, you can also still be very confident and envision yourself in that role. And I just think like manifestation is so real. And I mean, the amount of times I had spoken Mean Girls into existence and now it's here, like I just totally believe in that. Um, and yeah, if you want to do it, you can do it.
Oh, that's so special. Victoria, thank you so much for joining me on the Inspiration Show. This has truly been one of my favorite episodes, and this conversation
Oh, thank
will
you.
forever have such a special place in my heart. I am in awe of you and your incredible talent, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to get to look up to you and watch you shine. It was such an honor to have you here. Thank you for inspiring me.
Oh, Allison, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're the absolute best.
Oh my gosh, you're adorable.